All right, so we're doing a long-term review of my 2021 Can Am Renegade 1000 XMR. You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth. Son, there are places that ATVs are not meant to go. And when everyone's watching, who's gonna do it? You? You on your Honda? I have a greater responsibility than you could possibly fathom. You weep for the broken Polaris, and you curse the Can-Ams. You have the luxury of not knowing what I know. You need me to smash that mud hole. You want me to smash that mud hole. I purchased it in March of 2021. I have owned this machine for over 3 years. It has over 4,200 kilometers on it and just about 300 hours. So let me tell you, I have used this thing and I have put it to the test. It has gone through extreme conditions over and over again.
Give her? Yeah. See if we can make it. Okay. Holy shit, son. Did you try holding it? Yeah, okay. That's what you taught me, Dan. You just squeeze it. Just hold it.
All right, so here's a little bit of history. Before I got into riding ATVs like full-time hardcore, I was a big-time snowmobiler. I had a little Yamaha 450 Kodiak, and I sort of started getting into the mud scene a little bit because where I live, we have it all around us. And I got hooked, and let me tell you, I haven't looked back since. After that Kodiak 450, I had a Polaris 850. I turned that into a mud machine. It was great when it worked. It went down, I parted it out. The big thing for me was choosing my next ATV. And I had it narrowed down to not this machine. I honestly was gonna get a Can Am Outlander 1000 XXC. Back in late 2020, early 2021, things weren't like they are now in 2024. I decided on the 1000 XXC Outlander, but I couldn't get one. But this one was on order, all ready from a dealership. And the more I thought about it, I resisted it, but then it made more and more sense. And let me tell you, ever since I've got the thing, I have been nothing but happy about it. I am super stoked that this was the right choice for me. Now, One of the biggest issues with the Can Am 1000 Renegade XMR, it's the most expensive ATV you can buy. This machine comes with all the things you want and need. One of the biggest things comes with stock beadlock wheels. Huge, huge. Shocks. That was a negative. I knew that going into it, and I'll have to say that's still my biggest negative is the calibration of the shocks on these things. You can go for an all-day friggin' 100-kilometer ride, no problem. But the stiff shocks, you know, you're gonna be needing a trip to the chiropractor, maybe some Advil and a hot tub after, especially when, you know, when you're my age. There are some negatives and some gripes to make you aware about if you're thinking about getting one of these. So one of the things that is a big downfall, and again, we talked about this being the most expensive ATV on the market, the fit and finish of the plastics and some of the engineering is subpar. Like, it's a joke. The plastics don't line up. Like, this thing broke. Other negatives, the headlights, when you're riding in the dark, they suck. They really do. Now in 2023 and forward, they've changed them to an LED headlight and they're much, much better. The taillights, they never changed those. They're still a halogen bulb and they're not sealed very well. And anybody that's rode with anybody that has a Can Am, whether it's a Renegade or an Outlander, somebody's got one of their taillights that doesn't work. I guarantee you.
All right, so talking about rideability, braking is pretty good. I mean, I think they really lost something when they went away from the two-brake system. Up to 2018, the Renegade, you had your front brakes on the left and your rear brakes on the right. I mean, you got your foot shifter, but I mean, not everybody can. It's just a lot easier where you can, you know, when especially comes to like aggressive trail riding, you can just use your rear brakes just with your hands a lot easier. But I mean, I've done lots of hill climbs and hill descents, and I've never had any issues. I've always felt very confident. Just going on this basic trail here, like it gets bumpy here in a hurry, but you'll see these bumps here, like I'm bracing for them because you don't got a lot of give. So definitely the one thing I want to do, my next biggest change with this is some shock changes, guaranteed. Power steering works good. One of the nice things with the Renegade 2, with the narrower fenders, you can see your wheels really well. So when you're trying to cut around a tree, you know exactly where you are. That is a big benefit, there's no question. Yeah, sure, you get a little bit more mud on you sometimes. But get yourself a good set of gear and forget about it.
The other big negative of this machine is we'll call it the elephant in the room. A mud machine that does not come with a rad relocate makes absolute no sense whatsoever. I've spent way too much money on this thing, and you know, I still have to keep doing work to it. So shop around, but you're still going to be spending thousands of dollars powder coating it, getting it's just a nightmare. One of the best reasons for buying the XMR Renegade is it comes with the best factory snorkel system you can buy, bar none, case closed. The airbox design is awesome.
Yeah, talking before about the snorkel system being the best in the market, there is one flaw. You got to get one of these covers. It really helps keep getting water and like wet mud and water from coming in the airbox, and especially the clutch cover, because your intake right here is for your clutch intake, and stuff like to splash and get down and then gets in your clutch box. Since I've put this on, I never get hardly anything in my clutch cover.
Hey, I'm trying to do a video, shut up. All right, so another thing when you pick this thing up from the showroom floor it does not come with a rear rack. It's kind of stupid. You can get one from BRP. That's exactly the same on the Outlander, but it's really not that great. If you put this thing on its side or do a big wheelie backwards, you can damage it. Trust me, I know what I'm talking about. Reliability. Let's talk about that. These things are tough. The only things I've broken on this were either rider fault or not my fault. And again, that kind of comes back to, you know, craftsmanship and really not being things built as good as they could be. I've broken axle, and the right front axle has a really long spline on it. And I know several people have done the exact same thing as me. I didn't know exactly what happened to it, but when you launch it and you get air and then you come down onto something soft or hard while your wheel's spinning, something's got to give. And the very, very end of that axle has a tendency to want to break off sometimes. It happened to me once, hasn't happened since. I broke the left front axle. That was completely my fault. When I broke that one, I had this in the front diff lock on, and I shouldn't have had it. I was mired in thick, thick mud. I was winching up a stupid, crazy angle, and I was giving it gas. I forgot I had it locked in, and it just went snap. And immediately I knew it was my fault, totally. The only other issues I've had really is a factory issue, and it has to do with the gearbox. Mine wasn't covered under warranty. My dealer fixed it for me, but it's a common problem. Anybody's ever rode with any Can Am people, you'll hear them trying to put it into gear and it just goes bzzz. What? It's a problem that happens. It can get, one, it's an adjustment issue, or what happens is if it pops out of gear on you, what mine did once when I first had it was maybe like 2 weeks old. I was going up a hill and it just popped out of gear on me. I should have taken it back to the dealer right away. But what BRP says on that shaft where your forward low and high gear and your reverse gear, the way they mesh in, it's on a shaft and there's 2 circlips on each end, and the circlips were bent. And they say if this little circlip is bent, it's not covered under warranty. I'm sorry, that's just bull crap. Bull crap. That should be covered under warranty. Your warranty's up, well, that's fine. Another issue that they've had, especially in the 2019 up to 2022, they've had issues with the front diffs. And it's not the diff themselves, sorry, that's the front differential. What's happened with them, and it happened to mine, is that the ring gear that's in there where it changes from one direction to the other, they're bolted in and the bolts have backed out, and that's what causes the damage. So it's worth going in there if you're not under warranty, taking it apart, splitting it, and making sure those bolts are locked down and they're torqued properly. I've had my replaced one for about 1.5 years, which is about the time when it went on me. So I'm definitely going to be pulling that apart and taking it apart and checking everything over, just for peace of mind. I mean, hey, maybe they fixed the problem and torqued them down and Loctited them. I don't know. That will remain to be seen. So other issues I've had with mine, I had to replace my starter solenoid. Can Am calls it a relay, but it's a solenoid. For me, that's just maintenance. I'm not keeping track of it and it getting dirty and get corroded. But like I say, I had some wiring that rubbed in a few places, caused me some issues. I got that figured out. So we've already talked about reliability and rideability. Performance is probably the biggest reason why people choose this machine. So in order to maximize the performance of these things, you need to spend some dollars, and they're big dollars. So what really sucks is you're spending so much money on the machine and then you're just throwing more and more money at it. The things that you really need to do, number one, is you need to do an ECU tune or an ECU flash. They're so restricted from the factory, one from emission standpoint, and you can change the fuel mapping and just get so much more performance. There's more horsepower in these engines from the factory that you can just unlock. You need to be able to effectively get the power to the ground. The Can Am stock clutching is meh. So you're looking at aftermarket clutches. You can do clutch kits, you can change a few things, but seriously, spend the money on aftermarket clutches and away you go. Of course, the tires, they're okay. The stock tires, the cryptids, they're okay at everything, but they're not great at one thing. So you're gonna upgrade those to at least a true 30-inch tire. I mean, that's what you need. 32s, 34s, I mean, it's endless. Sometimes when I haven't rode this thing for a while, I mean, I go on big rides and plan all these adventures, but sometimes just hopping on the machine, going for a tour down the road, you realize how much fun they are.
Like I said before, just going for a ride down a gravel back road is so much fun. These things, you can sit back and cruise, or you can get back tight and just friggin' lean into her.
Once, you know, you spend all this money and, you know, sometimes maybe you get a little pit in your stomach for how much you've spent on it. But my God, when you go through places that other people can't and you do it well, all that expense you paid, it's totally worth it, man. Totally worth it. So these are high performance machines and they do require frequent and often maintenance. They really do. But one of the beauties is with the open fenders and not a lot of plastic coverings, getting to all your maintenance items is really, it's quite easy. My wife has an Outlander and I did some maintenance on it recently, and man, what a pain just to take the plastics off to get at make an oil change. Change the gearbox oil. Oh, it's so frustrating. It really is. But you have to keep up on the maintenance on these things. When it comes to greasing your suspension components, everything's readily accessible. Accessing your CVT belt and the clutches, you don't even have to take anything apart. You just take the bolts out, pop the cover off, and you have easy access. So to sum everything up, we've talked about performance, rideability, reliability, ease of maintenance, and again, probably my most favorite thing when it comes to performance is power. Man, there's a lot of power in these things, but you have to spend so much money, one, on the machine, two, buying aftermarket parts, tuning it and everything like that, better tires to get the most out of it. But in the end, is it all worth it? It totally is. It totally is. When you blast through a mud hole or rip across a skeg field and other people are stuck, there's nothing quite like it. That feeling is amazing. And when that happens, it just feels like it's all worth it. Right now, there's no other ATV out there that I would rather buy. But I do hear some things that there's something new coming from Can Am, hopefully for 2025. I believe it's an update on the Renegade and the Outlander, the 850s and up. So far, the 700 XMR Gen 3 is looking really good, and I'm looking forward to see what Can Am comes up with that. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this one, why don't you watch another one right here where I talk about the difference between the 1000 Renegade and the 1000 XMR Outlander. Cheers. I'll see you in the next one.